Gotta have Argentinian, the faith, the faith, the faith, 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 the faith, the faith. Baby! Legions was written and directed by Fabian Forte, and this definitely was his forte, as there was quite a bit of personal stuff that he put into this movie. This felt more like a labor of love. This stars Jermaine Da Silva, hope I pronounced that right. He plays Antonio, a powerful sorcerer slash shaman that used to live in the jungle along with particular family members, including his wife that gave birth to a daughter. That's usually how families are created, and well, there's an ancient demon that decided to place a curse on both your houses. Romeo and Juliet. I really should try to retro-view that at some point. Nevertheless, this demon named Kuraya, I hope I pronounced that right. This is Argentinian, so I might be kind of messing up these names. I do apologize. And he has now made it his mission, basically, that he has to save his daughter because a number of years later, Antonio is in an asylum after a particular thing goes wrong. His daughter wanted to live, and not just live a lonely life. She wanted to live her only life. That's right, song references will be abound in this review. And it's basically a creature feature mixed with supernatural, mixed with exorcism, mixed with comedy, Argentinian comedy. So I think something got lost in translation because some of the jokes actually kind of hit. And this was a mixture of comedy and horror with a little bit of suspense. And it definitely is a unique movie. I haven't seen too many movies that have been able to mix things like this and try to have a pretty good pace about it. I'm not going to say it's a perfect movie, but it ends up being something that is actually quite entertaining. If not very uneven. In fact, it is quite uneven, but when it hits, it really does hit. And the story is pretty simple. A father wants to reunite with his daughter and save her from this demon that wanted to take her soul years and years before, claimed the life of his wife, and even though he's locked in this institution and he is trying his best to, well, make the most of his life, seems like certain forces are not only out to get him, but to prevent him from being able to get at his daughter, because this demon is powerful, all powerful, to the point that it can pretty much possess just about anybody, and Antonio must use his ingenuity to solve this mystery before his daughter is history. Legion Tales, woohoo! So yeah, there are some good moments in this movie. The CGI is pretty wonky, I will say, and I'm not even faulting the people that did it, and I imagine this is probably a bit of a low-budget movie, but one thing I do want to praise is the practical effects. The practical effects were pretty goddamn good. There were a few contortion scenes, like, all possessed and they did all that stuff and everything. Ow. How the hell do they do that? I knew a girl that was a contortionist in college. She was fun. Moving on from that, there were some good, possession scenes and some good practical effects. And actually a good usage of what I imagine was probably a small budget affair. And the guy that plays Antonio actually has a pretty good fleshed out character. And there's a good father-daughter dynamic about this. Everybody else, they're pretty much just surface characters, though there are a few particular characters in this institution. They get a little bit of screen time. Antonio has, he wanted to while away his hours and his days in this institution. So he decided, hey, I'm going to use my, life experiences from when I did a bunch of exorcism slash, shaman stuff and put it in a play. And they were going to come up with costumes, and all these patients in this institution were going to come up with a way to present it in a proper way. A bunch of weird stuff does happen, and again, I think some of it maybe gets lost in translation. Stuff just happens, but there are some good moments to this, like when the daughter realizes, oh shit, my dad's out of this institution, because that's the whole mission of it. And while it takes a while to get there, once it gets there, there are a few good scenes. One particular part where he's confronting her at her work, and then when the demon finally reveals itself, there are some good parts to this. The comedy doesn't always land, and there are a few parts where I'm like, I didn't necessarily care for that. But I'm definitely not upset that I spent money on this. It's about $6-7 on Amazon, and worth it. I mean, you don't find too many movies like this. And with an Argentinian twist, maybe this is something that really was a hit in Argentina. Anybody that is from Argentina, let me know how this did as far as, lore, as far as demons. It told a pretty good story. Again, uneven, but certainly not bad. more positives than negatives. And the guy to play Antonio did a pretty good job here. I am going to get into spoilers here in a little bit, but as far as the positives are up here. The negatives are more down here. Not the greatest movie. Maybe not even a great movie, but an entertaining movie nonetheless that has a pretty good conclusion and a few moments where you're like, oh, okay, they did pretty good with that, especially the practical effects and a few other crazy things. So now I'm going to get into spoilers. 3, 2, 1, and spoilers. Okay, so basically, we find out in flashbacks that Antonio had a wife and I assume a mother or a shaman lady that was watching over them. And he battled this demon, and this demon placed a curse on him and his offspring, and that this demon would continue to come after them, and eventually did. Even though the daughter was born, the mother died. And there was this necklace made early on when the daughter was an infant that was her faith, and as long as she kept that necklace on, she would be all right. Well, the necklace got taken when the demon was able to get the daughter alone, and ever since then, the daughter kept losing her faith, and it's all about faith, the faith, the faith. Yes, just like I did in the intro. That's really what it is. It's about finding your faith, embracing your heritage, and there you go. So the daughter ends up kind of growing distant from the dad, gets tired of having these exorcisms and all this ritualistic stuff in her, around her, and decides to go off on her own. The dad ends up saving her by stabbing somebody instead of saving them from possession, and that's pretty much what gets him locked in an institution, even though it wasn't his fault. Cue the Gene Snitsky music. If you're a longtime wrestling fan, a deep cut wrestling fan, you'll get that. And after being in this institution for so long, he gets the news that he must go save his daughter. And also there's this lawyer that's trying to help him out. This lawyer that's dating the daughter. This lawyer that seems very slimy and very creepy. And I'm just going to spoil because it's a spoiler section. The demon takes over the lawyer guy, because of course it does, because why the hell wouldn't it? I mean, and pretty much that's exactly that's the whole point of like lawyers are slimy people, disgusting people, I guess was the point of this. And Antonio does eventually escape through comedy and telling the story of what happened with Elena and all that stuff, and the various patients help him, but then he gets locked back in there after talking to Elena and getting everybody out of the building. Everybody out of the office floor, which actually is a pretty good thing. I thought we were going to get where the demon was possessing them and making them all jump out the window. That would have been kind of cool, because that would have been like, shit, the demon's really powerful. But no, it was Antonio trying to get through to her. Eventually, though, he gets locked back in the institution, and it turns out that some of the patients actually are the demon's servants. Like this one guy that was in the room with him, and he probably should have figured that out because the guy had one weird wonky eye, and I'm not talking about Shawn Michaels. Then this other person shows up who apparently had ties to the tribe. She drinks something that has a weird demon maggot thing and is a good demon that frees Antonio by ripping off a guy's jaw and ripping off his head in a pretty good moment. And then the lawyer guy is all possessed and has maggots growing out of his face, and he's freaking out, and then he turns into a weird werewolf creature thing and tries to sacrifice her, but that doesn't work, and then they kill him on the rooftop. Yeah. That's really all I got out of this. It's not a bad movie. Bit weird. Bit unusual. But it's all about having your faith, and the daughter embraces her faith, the faith, the faith, and it gets a B-. It's not bad. It's certainly not bad. I encourage people to give this a look because it certainly presents some good ideas. Again, if it's not just a bit uneven, it is what it is. It's certainly one of the better offerings that pops up on Amazon, and I'm glad that I spent money on it. I look forward to seeing what else Fabian Forte can do, and maybe more horror offerings are in his future. So yeah, B-. Agree, disagree what I said, like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Rickland. I'll see you soon.